I'm Ariana Brazier. I go by Ari, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers. And I can't definitively say what inspired me to start creating because I've been creating my entire life. Crafting has always been a way of connecting me to my mom, me to my brothers, me to my dad, me to me. Creating, hand making, anything was literally the way I made sense of the world around me, whether that was through drawing or painting or sewing or jewelry making. It was the way I taught myself to be with myself, and it was a quiet time for me to kind of think about and inquire about what was going on throughout my day. And even now as an adult, crafting is not just an outlet. For me personally, like self-care, but it's also an outlet for my advocacy and social justice. Lately, during the pandemic specifically, I've been really into zine making and using zines to tell stories, and particularly stories of like Black culture and Blackness and survival and imagination and freedom. And so when I think about like what this grant would do to benefit my personal life and the work I do in the community, I think about the ways that crafting tells stories. And I think about the ways crafting teaches us to tap into our most transcendent, our most capable self. And as a Black crafter and as a Black woman, so much of my history and so much of my legacy has been erased, and it's been kept from me. I've been fortunate to see it up close in that my mom and my grandmothers were all seamstresses. But beyond us, beyond the privileges that I've experienced, there just aren't enough stories being told about the histories of Black sewing circles, about the histories of Black crafters and statue makers and innovators and fashion designers and painters. Like, these are Black people who have been telling our stories all along, but because they've been kept out of like the public imagination, we are then taught that we don't have these things, that we're not capable of these things, and that literacy and reading and writing must only look a certain way. But across all of Black history, it's looked in every way possible. As many Black people as there are in the world, there are as many ways of making sense and telling that side of the story. And so when I think about what this grant would do for me personally, it would keep me in touch with myself. I wouldn't have to worry about the cost of crafting, of this zine making, of my jewelry making, of my scrapbooking, the things I've been using not only to keep me sane, but also the things I've been using to help me process and speak to the racist violence that I see everywhere. It would be an outlet for me to continue my social justice efforts, and that justice applies to my community and myself as a Black woman, my own body. How do I give myself grace? And communally, this grant would benefit the nonprofit that I founded. We use play to celebrate these literacy practices. Like I mentioned, Black people have been making sense of the world and telling stories and processing what happens around us through our bodies throughout all of history. But because, we're not taught it in our schools, we're not taught it anywhere else besides our homes, we're told it is of no value. And that's just not true. And so Parent Lab, my nonprofit, we are working against that. We're celebrating all of those things that have existed throughout all of our history. And I do believe through these sewing circles and through just crafting spaces, vision board making parties, asset mapping our communities, like by creating literal maps, like all of these are forms of storytelling, all of these forms are literacy, all of these are forms of like Black culture and celebration. And this grant would help us to achieve all of that. It would be so much more than what I singularly have endured as a Black woman and a Black crafter. It would be about addressing what Black communities as a whole have suffered through, but also what Black communities as a whole have created for the sake of future visions, future generations, and the love of Blackness and Black self. So this grant would be amazing. Thank you.